Welcome to this special edition of the James Rice Show, where we're happy to welcome Colin Goodchild, our man in China. He is the International Director of ABC Sky, which is a children's library and training center for kids living in China right now. Colin, welcome to the show. Where are you in terms of Wuhan and location there?
Thanks for having me, James. I'm in Xiamen, which is Fujian province, and I'm about a 2-hour flight away from Wuhan.
Okay. So what is happening in your city? How many people are infected in your city?
Officially, I think about 3.
Okay. So there's only 3. So you're far enough away from Wuhan that you're not overly infected. But what is the feeling there on the ground? I mean, what's happening in terms of your city? How are the people feeling?
The feeling of the people, it's mixed. I think some of the people like the older crowd definitely feel like they're indestructible. They walk around with no masks. They think that they're untouchable. And everyone else has got a mask on their face. They're not going out. They're stocking up on food, water. It's not panic, but it's definitely some strong concern.
Is there any anger among the Chinese?
No, I don't feel any anger. Just worry. They're watching out for themselves. Why would they feel angry?
Well, towards the government in terms of that this problem occurred in December and really wasn't handled well until January, I guess, until it was, the outbreak had already happened. So I'm wondering.
I don't think there's a lot of knowledge of that.
Okay. All right. So that's the feeling here in North America is like, why'd you wait so long? Why didn't you? What's happening in terms of that? But now there seem to be a bit more transparent, a bit more open to getting the WHO help in there. Now, what about your job specifically? Any instructions from your employer?
Yeah, stay home. The Beijing government has ordered all training centers to be closed until further notice, and all schools are going to be closed until mid-February. So the holiday's been extended. So we've been ordered to close until March 1st.
Okay,
but that very easily could go on longer.
And what is the news saying in China?
In regards to what?
In regards to the virus and the steps that they're taking.
The steps that they're taking. So the numbers. Oh, so we won't get into the numbers because everybody's got a different number.
And it changes daily, yeah.
And they keep going up. But what they're doing, they're giving. I got to remember exactly what happened. There's a shopping mall called Wanda, and they're government run. So they've been ordered to offer free rent for the month of February, and to help businesses not completely collapse from the effect of this. They've ordered 2 extra factories, 2 entire manufacturing lines of surgical masks to produce, I don't know how many millions extra masks to make sure that everybody's got one. They've got in my city, they've got restrictions like you're not allowed to take any public transit or taxi or Didi Dacha is what they call like their Uber. You're not allowed to take one of those unless you're wearing a mask. And certain roads are blocked. They actually piled up an 8-foot earth wall on a road to stop people from driving in one area. I don't know. That's about all I know.
Wow. How do you feel? Do you feel safe?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, James, but my wife gave birth less than 2 weeks ago.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I'm terrified.
Yeah. because
like an infant this young.
absolutely, yeah.
And I've also got a 2.5-year-old. So everywhere I go, we've got our masks on. Really the only two places I go are home and my workshop, which is across the street. I went to the store when I have to, stocked up on water and food and things like that. But yeah, I don't go out much.
Now, if the government from Canada offered to airlift, which is one of the discussions being had here in Canada, and I know the UK, US, Japan, they're airlifting their nationals out. If the government here in Canada offered you an airlift out, would you take it?
If my wife could come, yes.
If you could bring your wife,
Yeah,
you would definitely leave.
for sure.
What
I'd be
about
front of that
teachers?
line.
What about, yeah, front of the line, yeah. What about teachers now who perhaps are holding contracts or thinking about going to China to teach English? What would your advice be for them?
Ooh. Sorry, did you say that are here now or thinking of moving here?
Maybe they've got the contract or they've been hired abroad. You know, they're thinking, should I go? Should I not go? You know, you've got the teachers who are, you know, recently hired, and then those maybe even just thinking about working abroad in general. So you kind of got two categories. What would your advice be to them?
I've actually told my own staff to stay where they are, which is I've got a teacher who's in Barcelona right now, and I can't remember if I got another teacher somewhere else. Yeah, I've got another teacher in Thailand, and I said don't come back yet. Just sit tight
And wait and wait it out.
Yeah, I mean they've got plans to come back already. They've got their flight tickets, but they can postpone them, and they agreed they're going to do that.
Right. Now, you mentioned before that you were going to the grocery store and things like that. How are the prices? Do you see a rise in prices in inflation?
No, not at the grocery store. The stock has diminished. They're not getting the supplies that they usually would, but there's still enough stuff in there. It's not too crazy. Very hard to find a surgical mask. There are lineups around the corner for that. Forgive me if I'm shaking a little bit. I'm freezing cold in my living room. Not as nervous as I sound. But when we order food from delivery, and you can get anything delivered here, and they have a pretty high fee for delivery compared to the price of the food. It's about half the price of the food just to deliver it. I guess because extra risk, I don't know, or because they can. There aren't a lot of places open now, not just due to this, but because it's Chinese New Year. Usually everything's closed anyway, but now nothing's reopening.
So it's pretty much a ghost town, even in your town, which is so far away.
I rode my bicycle. I have a trailer on the back of my bicycle for my son to ride on, and I can ride on the road, which I would never do other than that. Like maybe 5 cars would pass me on my trip to the grocery store with my son, as opposed to 500.
Wow. Now, one of the issues that we're seeing on the Twitterverse, as well as even in Canada, has been some discrimination. In Canada, there's been some discrimination to Chinese nationals, regardless of where they're from. But on the Twitterverse, what I see is in China, some discrimination against Wuhan citizens. What are you hearing about that situation in terms of any discrimination towards people who have traveled to Wuhan, people who are from Wuhan? Is there anything like that you've heard about?
Like stereotypes, I haven't heard anything. I don't even, and I don't get Twitter, so even with my VPN, I don't use Twitter. I haven't heard anything. So maybe if you give me an example, maybe I can.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've seen on Twitter is that the police are going into suspected homes of Wuhan citizens. Knocking on the doors, breaking down the doors, trying to get them out and test them or get them to a hospital or something, even though they're not in Wuhan, they're outside of Wuhan. So I'm just wondering if you've heard of anything like that.
No, I haven't heard anything, but it doesn't surprise me.
Okay. All right. Now, the other big thing that we're hearing about now is the impact on businesses. And of course, Chinese travel. International students travel a lot from China, going abroad to study abroad. There are tour groups, of course, coming from China to all of the places and tourist attractions around the world. What is being said by the government to these businesses or to these people who maybe are traveling to go to school abroad or to vacation abroad? What is happening on that end?
I haven't actually heard anything about what the government is saying about this. The 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 actions are a bit silly, in my opinion. They're checking people's temperatures and seeing if they've traveled to Wuhan in any time recently, and that's about it. From what I've learned of this virus, you can be a carrier for up to 10 days without a temperature. So I don't know why they're checking temperatures. Restrictions on travel, I think, are only for people from Wuhan, and the other restrictions are just trying to get a ticket, which is not available because everybody wants to go.
So it's been hard to get a ticket out of the country because that's what's selling the most, is it?
Right. I've got some friends who are here visiting from Australia, and I can't even meet them because of the newborn. They've been very understanding of that, which is a shame. They got stuck on their travels within China, and now that they're finally back at their home base here in China, they can't leave until next Monday. That was the earliest flight they could get.
And they're getting out, but they are getting flights out.
Hopefully. I wasn't sure if they'd confirmed that. That's just what they told me, is that was the earliest time they could get out.
And price inflation on those tickets, has it gone through the roof?
Yes. They said they paid $1,000 for their ticket, and I'm assuming they mean Australian dollars.
Right. Which would normally be a lot less, I'm assuming, probably half, yeah.
Probably about half, yeah.
Yeah, to go from China to Australia. Wow. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us about what's going on in China?
Hard to think. There's so much going on. I think we've covered most of it, though. Yeah.
And again, you would leave if you could, if Canada.
Yeah. Are you offering me a flight?
If we can get you a flight, Colin, we would, absolutely. I don't know what's flying in and flying out. I'm assuming all airlines are still flying regularly.
And with a newborn, he doesn't have his passport yet, so it would be a sensitive issue if we were to all fly out together. My son's Canadian and I'm Canadian, but I got three other important members actually. Grandma would like to come with us.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow. Well, we wish you all the best and stay safe. Please be careful. And it sounds like you're taking all of the precautions that you can at this point, and stock up on that food. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, James.